And a very good afternoon and welcome to the Saturday preview with myself, David Massey, coming to you at around about just before 4 p.m. on Friday afternoon with a quick preview of Saturday's racing at Newbury, where there's a couple of races of some interest and one at Catterick as well, which I'm hoping will be a bit of a price. It's that sort of in between Saturday, isn't it? We've been spoilt over the last few days with some tremendous racing from Kempton and over in Ireland as well. There's some more to come next week, and the Newbury card sort of always tends to suffer a little bit because of that. There's enough runners, and it's interesting enough. But in terms of having a bet, I think there's only a couple of races that really make interest. I will say now I have covered off the whole of the Lingfield card for the Sporting Life on their website. So if you go to sportinglife.com and to the race cards there, if you're looking for a steer for Lingfield tomorrow, I'm about to sort of put the last three races up. I've deliberately left the novice races till last. I hate doing novice races. Handicaps I like. The all age handicaps, no problem with those because the form's on the table. But novice races I never like writing up. But I'll be finishing those off. So as I say, Lingfield tomorrow. I can't see a bet particularly at the moment. Possibly one in the sprint. I put Ober and Martel up. Aviv Johnson Hortons. We'll see what price Ober and Martel is in the morning. I may or may not put him on the punt as a bet. We'll see. The Newbury card, really, there's four races on ITV4. Kicking off with a handicap hurdle at 150, and this is one of the more interesting races, I think. Because there are the ones towards the front of the market, I sort of want to take on a little bit. One for Rosie of Nigel Tristan Davies says, yes, very much an improving novice last year, and but we haven't seen one for Rosie since April. He was third to reserve tank at Aintree in a grade one. Now, you can argue that you've got a graded horse here that's in a handicap, and that makes him look interesting. He ought to be better than these, but late enough to be starting. And although he's got form on soft ground and it's perfectly acceptable form, I think some of his better forms come on good. Severano's definitely taking a step up in grade. I do like Severano, don't get me wrong, but the two races he's won are reasonable races, and on a line through reserve tank, you can argue he's probably got the beating of one for Rosie. But this is tougher. This is tougher, definitely. The race that I'm concentrating on, in terms of looking for the winner here, is the Newbury Handicap that the Cashel-man won at the end of November. I think that was a really competitive race, and there are two in that that go here, and I'm tempted to back the pair of them because I'd have them both a bit shorter. Those pair are the top one, Soul Emotion, Nicky Henderson's, and a bit further down the handicap, Howling Milan, Sam Brinkwaters. Both of whom were in sort of quite prominently in that race. Well, it is true. One a bit more so than the other, but nevertheless they were, they weren't held up out the back. Soul Emotion, that was his first run since December last year when we saw him finishing about 7 lengths off Paisley Park. Now, it's fair to say that that's decent form. And I thought there was enough in that Newbury run. He finished midfield there. He sort of weakened out of it from 3 out, really, which you would expect, given that, you hadn't seen him for the best part of the year. That was off a marker 150. The handicapper immediately drops him £3 for that to 147. And I think that gives him a bit of a chance here. I know he's got top weight, but the way that he travelled through that and then just got tired would suggest that he retains pretty much most of his ability, I think. I know he's got top weight here, but he does have claims to being better than a handicapper. And I just like the look of him at 12-1 as a horse that's definitely going to progress from that run. He should, he's had a month off since. It's not like he's reappearing too quickly. And I think with that, I can see him sort of coming on a bit for it and progressing. Ground will be absolutely fine. He won't mind soft ground. That won't be an issue. The trip's fine as well. And a good pace will suit him. As I say, I think for a Henderson horse, 12-1 looks a pretty fair price, all in all. I'd have him a little bit shorter. And similarly from that race, Howling Milan, who ran an absolute stormer, really. Only really sort of gave best from 2 out, and even then stuck on pretty well. I thought again he just a horse. I mean that was he's only had a handful of starts and he absolutely hosed up. He might be a Newbury horse because he hosed up at Newbury at the beginning of the year in a novice hurdle and again seemed to I say he's run well again last time. Again he's had a £2 drop for that and I think that'll help. Again 18-20 to 1. I think that's just too big for a horse that's proven at the track. I don't think the ground will be any sort of an issue. And may yet still have more progression in him. I think they're a big price. So I'm going to end up back in the pair of them. Whether I end up having 2 win bets on them or a sort of larger win and a smaller place bet, I don't know yet. I'll have a look at how I'm going to play it. I think a bit later on. But Solid Emotion and Howling Milan are my two. The 225, is the other race really at Newbury. I'm sort of half interested in the handicap chase, the Mandarin. It's a race that's been fairly kind to me over the years. And this is not, again, it's not a particularly strong contest. I sort of want to be against Copperhead, who's been put in the second favourite here, who's gone up £9 for beating Finger on the Switch at Wincanton. That was on good ground. Now, again, you can go back to the beginning of the year and he's got form on soft ground at Sandown. So you say, all right, he's fine on that. But he was off a mark of 116 that day. He's off a mark of 134 tomorrow. So it may well be that the good ground last time was what was responsible for the step forward. It may not be. But I'm just going to give him the swerve tomorrow. I think there'll be more races in him. I have to say, I think the favourite, Cobo Lobo, who long-term punt readers will know is a horse I've been keen on for a long time, really have. I saw him on his debut in a Worcester bumper. In that same race, there was another really good horse of John Joe's that went on to be a good handicapper before it went lame. I can't remember the name of it now. It's in Milan. The two of them, and they were gorgeous horses in the paddock. And I spoke to John Joe about the pair of them, and he had really good sort of long-term hopes for them. Cobo Lobo, I don't think Cobo Lobo acted around Cheltenham in October. They made him 4-1 favourite for that because he is on a very good mark on some of his form from the previous year, especially his short head second to Kilbrick and Storm, which made him look pretty well treated. But he made no mistake at Haydock. I think this is what he wants. He wants a flat ground. He wants a flat track, soft ground, and he gets that again. The worry would be that he's up £7 for that win at Haydock, but effectively it's 10 because young John Joe was claiming 3 at the time, and he can't claim now. So effectively he's £10 higher. Does that put me off? It does a little, but then again, I've always thought that Cobo Lobo will be ending up in top grade handicaps. So with that, I think a mark of 129, there should still be some leeway in there, and I think he takes plenty of beating tomorrow, Cobo Lobo, in a race that really, it isn't going to take a lot of winning this. There's a lot of horses in here that are weak finishers that want better ground. The only other one that I could even consider having a wager on in the race, and it would be an absolute flyer, would be Indy 5. Mainly on the grounds that he's now off a mark of 122. Now, you go back to the sort of spring of 2018 and he was winning a handicap here at Newbury over just short of 3 mile with his head in his chest off a mark of 125. So he's £3 lower tomorrow. Since then, it's been pretty much a tale of woe, unfortunately, for Indy 5. His last 4 starts, pulled up, tailed off and fell in the 2018 Scottish National. You are taking the chance that he's not completely gone at the game. Now, watching the 2 runs back that he's had this winter, certainly the Exeter run, there wasn't a lot to be gained in that when he was pulled up. But at Wincanton last time, at least he got in the race. He was, there was his usual couple of sloppy jumps. He's no great, he'll hit one. I guarantee you that he'll hit a fence somewhere. He'll take one with him. And there was a couple of those awkward jumps in there again last time. But it was better. At least he lasted out longer. He lasted out sort of between 4 out and 3 out, then got tired again and was pulled up pretty quick. Now, either there's an issue with him, which there could be, in which case, as I say, we're going to get pulled up again, or it's a case of he's needed both those runs and he might be a bit fitter here and back on a track where he's won on ground hill-like, on a mark that's workable. 33 to 1 might just be worth throwing a couple of quid at. It's one of those speculative ones that, it's win or bust basically, I think. So I could be tempted to have a crack at Indy 5. So it's sort of favourite and outsider for me in that Mandarin. The other two races at Newbury make very little appeal, I have to say, for about the Shallow Hurdle. Good a race as it is. I think Time Hill will probably win. I hope Time Hill wins, actually, because he's a horse that I like a lot. Odds on's not our game though on here. You want odds ons, you know where to go. That's not what we do on here. And in the last, a very trappy handicap chase. I've been around it a few times and I don't want to have a bet, to be perfectly honest. I can't really find an angle into it. I think the market's probably about right. But let me give you one at Catterick. Let me find the race that's worth a bit of a look. There's a novices handicap chase at 120 over 2 mile. No prices out for it yet. The one that's interesting in here, and I'm hoping we get a bit of a price, it's the 7 horse, and Martin Todd Hunter's a horse called Old Timer, who I thought ran a bit better at Hexham last time, certainly better than the bare results suggest. It's been pretty much a tale of woe from Old Timer for a while. There's just been spits and spots of ability in novice hurdles. However, when sent chasing last time at Hexham, went from the front with the eventual winner, my mate Bob. The two of them went at it, pretty early on. So it was no surprise really that Old Timer got a bit tired late on trying to take an improving horse like my mate at this sort of level anyway, in my mate Bob on. But if you can get a chance, go back and look at the vid. Jumps really well, Old Timer. And you can arguably say he's travelling better than the winner halfway down the back. Before, as I say, he's just got tired then from 3 out, and from the last he's pretty legless. That was in heavy ground at Hexham, so tomorrow at Catterick, an easier, sharper track should help him. The ground won't be quite as bad. If he can jump as well again from the front tomorrow, I don't think he's without hope in a weak race. There should be more to come from him. As I say, that was his debut, don't forget, and I did like the way he jumped. He jumped pretty well. There was one mistake he made, one small mistake. So if he can cut that out tomorrow, I think we've got a chance. What sort of a price am I looking for? I mean, given his form, I'm hoping he gets missed, because there's a lot of, beaten 60 lengths, beaten 40 lengths, and he even got beaten 32 lengths at Hexham. But as I say, it's a better run than it looks. And there are one or two in here that have got sort of what you would call better bits of form. I'm hoping we get double figures. That's what I'm hoping for. I think if we get double figures, I'd be having a bet on Old Timer. So I'd be refreshing at 5 o'clock and see what comes up. Other than that, I think it's a day just to sit and watch. I might go to Leicester tomorrow. It's a 6-race card. It's of some interest. There's a couple of races early on the card that we might learn something from, and I could get them written up next week. That's before I've got to travel into Nottingham. I've got to come back and travel into Nottingham later on to go and pick the good lady up from the train station, so I shan't be going too far tomorrow. Best of luck with all your bets tomorrow. What's the best bet tomorrow? Probably Cobo Lobo. Don't really like putting up favourites, but as I say, it's a horse I've always thought a lot of, and I've always thought he'd make a really nice staying chaser in time. So, in the hope that he can progress again tomorrow, he's probably the best bet of those. Best of luck, guys, with all your bets. I will be back on Tuesday. Thanks a lot.